Welcome to the Governor's Hurricane Conference Room Monitor Training Program. Room monitors play a vital role in the successful delivery of our educational sessions as well as in the collection of critical data for session evaluation. We are grateful for your assistance in making our program and the conference the premier hurricane conference in the nation. At a glance, the Governor's Hurricane Conference is a week-long educational conference comprised of training sessions and workshops. Training sessions range from 90 minutes to 3 days in length, are scheduled during the first half of the week, and typically follow a stricter format, including a formal curriculum and specific class size limits. As such, they offer certificates of attendance. Training sessions are led by a lead instructor and other qualified instructors. Workshops and roundtables are more casual sessions, typically only 90 minutes long, with a defined learning focus. Workshops are led by a moderator and have one or more speakers. Workshops are held on Thursday and Friday only. Most attendees go to the general session, our showcase event, held on Wednesday morning, followed by the opening of our exhibit hall. Our awards luncheon is held on Thursday, and various other professional and networking activities are scattered throughout the week. Our very busy conference week concludes at noon on Friday. Aside from the all-important session attendees, a successful Governor Hurricane Conference session or presentation requires the effective performance of several interrelated team players. The moderator or lead instructor presides over the session, introduces the speakers, facilitates any question and answer portion, and signs any applicable training certificates. Speakers or instructors deliver the content of the session, typically through an oral presentation or panel discussion. The organizer is a member of the Governor's Hurricane Conference Program Committee who has developed, designed, and organized the session since its inception the preceding September. The organizer greets and thanks the speakers, provides the speakers' biographical sketches to the moderator if needed, helps evaluate the session, and serves as an extra set of hands. The room monitor assists with attendee sign-in, audiovisual equipment checks, session logistics such as distributing handouts or student manuals, certificate coordination, and collects some evaluative data. Room monitors play a vital role in the efficient and effective conduct of our educational sessions, as well as in the collection of critical data for the GHC office records and the evaluation of our conference. In a nutshell, room monitors help reduce the burden of speakers and instructors throughout the session by performing various administrative and logistical tasks such as audiovisual checks, attendee sign-in, certificate coordination, and data collection for session analysis. To maintain a high degree of performance consistency while minimizing the need for frequent trainings, the program committee recruits room monitors from the following. All students in the Student Scholarship Program are required to serve as room monitors as part of the program. Program committee members. Session organizers are encouraged to consider serving as the room monitor for any session they organize. GHC board members and other committee members. And finally, local volunteers that have been specifically trained to serve as room monitors. Room 1F of the Palm Beach County Convention Center is designated as the room monitor control room for the entire week. GHC staff manage this room from 7:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. daily. Besides having a significant quantity of supplies, this room is a resource for room monitors to seek assistance from the room monitor coordinators for help with troubleshooting any issue that may arise in their session. Room monitors must report to this room at least 30 minutes prior to the scheduled start of their assigned session to pick up a session folder. A typical session folder contains the following items. A GHC sign-in roster. This is a list of all conference participants who specifically registered for the training session when they submitted their conference registration and fees. Only training sessions have sign-in rosters. Moderator announcements. This is a list of important and/or last-minute announcements the moderator or lead instructor must read to all attendees at the beginning of the session. Mobile App Flyer. This is a document that provides important information about the conference's mobile app. It should be presented by the moderator or lead instructor at the beginning of each session. Room Monitor Resource Sheet. This is a document that provides useful resource information such as useful instructions, support staff phone numbers, Wi-Fi passwords, and other relevant information. Late Form. This form is used to document and authorize the issuance of a certificate to any late arrivals to a training session. USB Packet and USB Drive. The Governor's Hurricane Conference collects and posts all presentations on its website. The USB form is used to document the name of the presentation uploaded onto the USB drive. Room Monitor Report Form. This form is used by the Room Monitor to report important qualitative data that helps the program committee plan future conference topics. Room monitors are asked to report to their session at least 15 minutes prior to the start of their scheduled assigned session. Upon arrival, the room monitor should conduct a room survey. Where are the light switches in case the speaker wants to dim the lights? Are the chairs and tables arranged neatly? If not, kindly straighten up the room a bit. Then, ascertain who are the speakers or instructors and the moderator or lead instructor, and then introduce yourself. Explain your role as room monitor. Check the audio-visual equipment. Conduct a quick sound check for all microphones. Make sure all presenters have uploaded their presentations onto a single laptop and that laptop is properly connected to the LCD projector. Make sure the displayed image fills the screen so that it is visible from the back row. If not, make the necessary adjustments or contact AV support personnel. Ask the moderator and speakers if they need any assistance with handouts or other logistics such as flip charts or the portable mic during the Q&A period. If the session is a training session, then begin signing in attendees as soon as they begin to arrive. Sit near the door or outside the door to catch them as they arrive. Have each attendee sign or initial the sign-in roster as they enter the room. Because most training sessions have specific limitations such as prerequisites, precise student-instructor ratios, or a limited number of instructional materials or student manuals, pre-registered attendees receive priority. They must sign in and be seated first. Do not allow walk-ins or those not listed on the session roster to enter and sign in until all pre-registered attendees have signed in and been seated. Have these walk-in participants wait outside the room until all registered attendees have been accounted for. Remember that everyone must sign in. Those that do not sign in do not get a certificate. Also, for multiple day training sessions, attendees must only initial on the day that it is. Do not allow them to sign in for future days. Once all pre-registered attendees have signed in and been seated, check with the lead instructor, and if he or she approves, then walk-in participants should be allowed to enter the room on a first-come, first-served basis. Have each walk-in participant sign the sign-in roster as they enter the room. Be sure to reserve a seat or space for all pre-registered participants still outstanding, in other words, those that are tardy. Tardy pre-registered participants should be considered no-shows and forfeit their seat if they arrive after the conclusion of the lead instructor's introduction of all speakers and instructors, at which time walk-in participants may be granted admission on a first-come, first-served basis to fill any forfeited seats up to the posted maximum session limit. Once a training session maximum has been met, all additional walk-ins must be referred to other sessions. Under no circumstances will more chairs be added to the room of a training session. Furthermore, do not allow additional standing observers in training sessions. It is important to note that workshops, on the other hand, do not have capacity limits. However, the room sets are set in accordance with local fire codes. Therefore, the room monitor should discourage standing observers in workshops as well. You may seek the assistance of the program organizer or the room monitor control room in these situations. About 30 minutes into the training session, a GHC certificate runner will come to the room and pick up the session sign-in roster. For the purpose of this slide, the definition of late is any registered participant that arrives after the sign-in sheet has been picked up by the GHC certificate runner. Late arrivals should sign in on the sign-in roster whenever possible. It may be later in the day or the following day. Regardless, as room monitor, you should complete a late form found in the room monitor folder for each late arriving participant and submit it to the lead instructor for his or her approval. Since most training sessions have strict participation criteria and time requirements, the lead instructor must evaluate the late arriving participants' involvement in the course and decide whether or not to issue a certificate of attendance. This decision rests solely with the lead instructor, not the room monitor, and is final. In order to be economically flexible, the Governor's Hurricane Conference has a tiered registration program with several participation levels for its attendees. These tiers are depicted by the color of the name badge worn by the attendee. In order to keep the conference a great value for everyone, we look to the room monitors to help us regulate participation. Blue-colored name badges have full conference privileges Sunday through Friday. Purple name badges have training session privileges Sunday through Wednesday only. Red name badges have conference privileges Wednesday through Friday only. However, they may attend training sessions on Wednesday only and only as spaces permit. Black name badges have no conference privileges. They are speakers for a specific session only. Name badges must be worn by all session attendees. Please report any name badge issues to the room monitor control room. Once everyone has signed in and seated, remind the lead instructor or moderator to read the list of conference announcements and the mobile app flyer. The conference announcements is a list of important and/or last-minute announcements such as schedule changes, cancellations, programs added at the last minute, and others. It is important that the lead instructor or moderator read these to all attendees at the beginning of the session. If they inadvertently forget, please remind them during a break. At the conclusion of each session, ask each presenter to download their presentation onto the USB drive found in the room monitor folder. The GHC office will convert their presentation to a non-editable Adobe PDF version and post on the conference website. Evaluative feedback we have received from conference attendees over the past years has indicated access to these presentations is a valuable tool in their daily work and therefore a valuable benefit of the conference. As such, this is an extremely important task of the room monitor. Carefully complete the USB form provided in the room monitor folder so that the presentation files can be easily identified, distinguished, and matched to the session and presenter by the GHC office staff. The form is fairly self-explanatory. Provide the presenter's name and the exact file name of their presentation. Do not simply provide the title of the presentation, as it may differ significantly from the actual presentation file name. If presenters hesitate to provide their files because of proprietary or information sensitivity reasons, please remind them the conference is a public forum, so the information they have just provided is in the public domain. However, there are some FEMA EMI training courses that have some restrictions on public posting. The program committee organizer or the room monitor control room can assist you in this manner as well. The final form in the Room Monitor folder is the Room Monitor Report form. This form provides qualitative data that helps the program committee plan future conference topics and sessions. As with other forms, it is fairly self-explanatory to complete. Fill out the name of the session, date, and starting time of the session. Provide a qualitative assessment on the adequacy of the seating arrangements in the room. This is a yes/no question. Finally, please take an accurate participant attendance count at the beginning of the session and again just prior to the end of the session before everyone begins to leave. An increase or attrition of the session's audience has important implications in future conference planning. Please provide constructive evaluative comments in section 4 of the form. Some areas to consider: were there any problems or issues during the session? If so, document the details. Was the session well received? If not, why not? Were the speakers knowledgeable? Were they engaging? Might you offer any suggestions for improvement? We use this data along with participant evaluations submitted via the conference mobile app for future conference planning, so please provide us your evaluative feedback. Nearly every training session provides a certificate of attendance. As previously stated, a certificate runner will stop by your session and pick up the sign-in roster to use to make these certificates. Please sit near the door and have the sign-in roster ready for this volunteer. Prior to the conclusion of the training session, a certificate runner will drop off printed certificates for all registered participants. Immediately give these certificates to the lead instructor for signature. They must be signed by the instructor to be valid. For off-site training sessions, a certificate runner will be at the departure location to take the sign-in roster before the bus departs. As the session concludes, when you're about 10 minutes out from the convention center, please call the certificate office and let them know your ETA, and a certificate runner will meet you at the bus drop-off location with certificates. Do not leave unclaimed certificates in the session room. Check the room just prior to leaving for any unclaimed certificates. Place them in the Room Monitor folder. Return the entire Room Monitor folder to the Room Monitor control room. Advise any participant that may ask that unclaimed certificates may be picked up at the information desk in the conference registration area. As discussed earlier, late arriving attendees of training sessions may be issued certificates only with the written approval of the lead instructor on a late form. It is the lead instructor's sole decision to issue a certificate based on the attendee's participation in the session. Any late forms completed after the sign-in roster is picked up will need to be called in to the certificate office for pickup. At the end of your session, return all materials to the Room Monitor control room: the session folder, Room Monitor report, certificate folder, USB packet and USB drive, and any unused forms or materials. On behalf of the Board of Directors, Executive Director, and the Chair of the Program Committee, the Governor's Hurricane Conference is deeply grateful for all our room monitors and wishes to share our heartfelt thanks in advance for all your hard work and commitment to keeping our conference the premier conference on hurricanes in the nation. Your time and efforts are deeply appreciated. Thank you.